Why are people higher on the Clemson Tigers than they are on the Georgia Bulldogs? That's the question that I want to explore right here with you for the next 8 to 10 minutes. So let's talk about it. I'm seeing Clemson consistently ranked higher than Georgia across experts' rankings, right? And a lot of people who have been talking about this recently, Joel Klatt, ESPN's talked about it. CBS Sports has talked about it. Josh Pate's talked about it, right? I don't necessarily care about all these people's opinions, right? When I do this, I have my own opinions. And look, before I start diving into the weeds of this, my opinion is that Georgia's a better football team than Clemson, and that's for a variety of reasons. I think that you can pick apart things and say, okay, well, Clemson probably does have the advantage in that regard and probably is better in that regard. That's true, right? Georgia's team is not perfect, but I'm just thinking about what happened last year. I'm thinking about the landscape of college football, all the transition over this offseason, and I sit and I see all these people raving over Clemson, and I'm like, why Clemson over Georgia? I don't really get it. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post, not really getting it. I'm not really understanding why. And don't take this the wrong way, especially if you're a Clemson fan that gets here. I don't care one way or the other. Right? I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm not a Clemson hater. It's not about that. It's more of a confusion thing. And I really wonder, is it all about the quarterbacks? Is this really all about the quarterbacks? Now, I think the defense matters in this conversation, and I'll get to that next. I'll talk about the defensive aspect next. But let's talk about the quarterbacks first. Gunnar Stockton for Georgia, most likely, right? I'd say 90-something% chance. Ryan Puglisi will have his opportunity to push him. I don't think that he pushed him enough this spring to overtake that job. Gunnar clearly looks like QB1. He looked like QB1 during the spring. He looked like the more comfortable quarterback at G-Day, and he has a little bit of experience. He's got the leg up. Heading into year 4, right? And Cade Klubnik, right? They're in the same recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll pull that up. But Cade Klubnik is the main reason why some of these people are picking Clemson over Georgia. I wanted to get this pulled up very quickly, that 2022 recruiting class. Let's go to quarterbacks. I know that Drew Aller was a 5-star in this class. Cade Klubnik was a 5-star in this class. Gunnar Stockton was a 4-star in this class. Ty Simpson, the likely starter for Alabama, a 5-star in this class. Interesting quarterback class. But Cade Klubnik is a big part of the reason why people think that Clemson will be better than Georgia, right? And have Clemson higher in these rankings. Well, I do think that Cade Klubnik is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I'm not denying that fact. I don't think he's fantastic. I think that he improved a lot in 2024, and the natural progression and expectation is that he will improve even more in 2025. I'm seeing buzz for him being a potential top 5 pick in this upcoming NFL draft, potentially first overall pick in the NFL draft. I don't know about all that yet. I thought that he played pretty well in some big moments, right? Played pretty well in the ACC championship game against SMU. Clemson barely wins that. In a loss in the college football playoff against Texas, I thought he played pretty well. There's obviously a much larger sample size with Cade Klubnik, but right when I'm listening to Joel Klatt, I'm like, why is he ranking Georgia 8 and Clemson in the top 5? Why is ESPN got Clemson in the top 3? Why does Josh Pate have Clemson 1 or 2? Klubnik is a big part of the reason why. They think that he's going to take a step forward. They think that he's going to sling the football around and be a legit Heisman contender. He's a guy that threw for a ton of yards last year and helped them win a lot of football games, but I don't think he's that much better than Gunnar Stockton. What he has is a leg up in experience. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be a cheerleader for Gunnar all offseason. It's not what I'm going to do. I've watched Gunnar for a long time. I know what he's got. He's got a pretty good arm. He's got a lot of heart, and he's a tough football player who typically makes the right decision, and that matters a lot for the quarterback position. I've seen Cade Klubnik make a ton of bad decisions in his couple years as a starter. In Gunnar's game and a half, 2 games of playing college football, I've seen him make a couple of bad decisions, 1 or 2 really, and one was that really bad interception against Texas. I don't think Cade Klubnik's that much better than Gunnar Stockton. Now, he might have a better season, and he probably will have a better season just because he's more acclimated. But to me, that's not a big enough reason to just propel them over. Now, Clemson's defense has a lot of good players on it. Avion Terrell in the secondary, Ricardo Jones. They've got Kylan Griffin. They've got a lot of returning players in this secondary, just in general, right? This is a team that's returning a lot, and kind of twofold. The defense has a lot of big names on it, a lot of big players on it that are good, and Clemson brings back a lot. To me, that's part of the reason why Clemson is being favored over Georgia, but Sammy Brown at linebacker, Wade Wood as at linebacker, and then on the defensive line, TJ Parker and Peter Woods, these are projected first-round picks. So those are those are also legitimate reasons why people would have Clemson ranked higher. I think about their offense. I don't necessarily think Clemson's weapons are better than Georgia's. All right, they might have a true freshman starting at running back in Gideon Davison. That's a real possibility there. Wide receivers, TJ Moore, Brian Wesco Jr., sophomores, Antonio Williams. Are those receivers really better than Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, Dylan Bell, Colby Young? I don't know. And Georgia's offensive line should be better. Bigger players, higher recruited players, guys that have played a good bit when you think about it. And you think about this Georgia offensive line, it's not just a brand new offensive line that hasn't played. Drew Bobo has started games. Micah Morris has been around a long time and started games. Monroe Freeling has started games. Ernest Green started plenty of games. It's an offensive line that definitely has experience. And then I think about the coaching staffs, and I think about Kirby versus Dabo. A couple of the best, right? Kirby has the leg up right now. And I think between Schumann, Bobo, Trey Scott, Todd Hartley, that whole staff is very good. Clemson's had more turnover on its staff the last couple of years. And then I think about the head-to-head last year. And yes, these are very different teams. Carson Beck was out there. Jalen Walker was out there. Malachi Starks, Michael Williams were out there. Georgia smacked Clemson on a new... Now, it was Atlanta, but Georgia smacked Clemson on a neutral field a year ago. And Clemson's team's largely the same. Georgia's changed a lot, right? It's changed much more than Clemson's did. But it's not changing a bad football player. Some of them are upgrades. Georgia's run game expected to be better. Georgia's offense in general expected to be better than it was a year ago. Now, I think that you can pinpoint to a couple spots. You do give Clemson the advantage in experience as a team. You give Clemson probably the advantage at quarterback. You give Clemson the advantage at defensive line. Those are big, big advantages. But the rest of it, I kind of lean towards Georgia. I lean towards Georgia's linebackers as good as Sammy Brown is, as much as I watched him at Jefferson. I lean towards Georgia's running backs. I lean towards Georgia's receivers a little bit. I don't think Gunnar Stockton's that much worse than Cade Klubnik. He's just not as experienced. Georgia's secondary, I lean towards that, and I lean towards the talent in that. Right? So when I think about comparing these two teams, are people ranking Clemson in the top 5 because they legitimately think Clemson's one of the 5 best teams? And if they do, that's totally fair. And I do think Clemson's going to be one of the best teams in college football this year. But I really don't get having them over Georgia. Is it because of their path in the ACC and they're kind of predicting ahead of time, well, Clemson may win more games because, let's just be real, they don't have to play a big SEC schedule. And you look at Clemson's schedule, they got to open up with LSU at night at home. That's going to be awesome. But what's their second toughest game after that? Is it versus SMU? Is it versus Florida State? It's probably at South Carolina at the end of the year, right? You can argue their 2 toughest games are the first and the last, which are against LSU and South Carolina, right? And Georgia's going to play those type of teams a handful of times, more than a handful of times in 2024 or 2025. Georgia will be more battle tested. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't really know. And if you got to this video, I think Georgia's better, but I'm starting to get surprised at how consistently Clemson is being ranked higher than the Dogs. It's my question I wanted to explore for the day, and I appreciate you sitting here and watching with me. No hate, Clemson fans, if you made it here. No hate.